Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm Wina Puangco, and I am a candidate for graduation from the Master of Fine Arts program in the La Salle University, Manila, and I write poetry and prose and talk about books, among other things, on this channel. So today we are going to be kickstarting what I'm hoping will be a regular series on here called Get Read with me, and we will basically put on our makeup and talk about books. And I'm so excited for this because it's basically the marriage of two things that I love and adore. So today I'm going to be doing a very peachy tone, kind of laid back look because I'm not really going anywhere. Today's literally Sunday night, and after this I'm just going to go downstairs and eat adobo with my boyfriend. So we're just gonna do a chill look. And for the book today, we are going to be talking about the very controversial 2022 Netflix adaptation of Persuasion by Jane Austen. I'm not really the kind of person who talks a lot about English classics. I haven't discussed any Jane Austen books on here just because I think there are people on that side of booktube who are way more qualified to talk about it than me. But I do enjoy a good Jane Austen, and this really is very close to my heart because Persuasion is my favorite Jane Austen. So I totally understand where everyone is coming from with sort of the negative reviews. The adaptation is really bad and it is really cringeworthy. But today I don't want to focus so much on what was wrong with it because I think everyone else has already kind of covered that. Today I want to focus more on what we could do to fix it, how the filmmakers could have salvaged the adaptation or maybe even made it good. So to start, I'm going to put on this sun tint. It's called the Full Bloom Sun Tint from Face Republic. And I really like this because it has some coverage, but it's not super duper thick or anything. So the first thing I think that the makers of Persuasion could have done better is really quite simple and very basic from a storytelling point of view. And that is just to pay attention to the harmony and the organic unity of the elements of fiction. So I mean the setting, the tone, the treatment, the characters, and just see how they interact. Because I think a big problem of the adaptation was that everything was kind of all over the place, where there wasn't one single problem that if you fix that problem, everything else would be fine. It was kind of a hodgepodge of all of these different treatments, different tones, different ways of speaking, and it just didn't mesh well together. And when we talk about organic unity, that's basically how well all of the elements of fiction tie together so that if you changed one thing, the entire concept would fall apart. And I feel like if the filmmakers had sort of paid more attention to that, then it would be way more interesting and might actually be something that we would have liked watching. Something that I can think of which does this well is, I think, the fan favorite Jane Austen adaptation, which is the Pride and Prejudice adaptation with Keira Knightley in it, where everything kind of melds well together, and because of that you kind of are able to allow the movie to succeed because you're properly set up with the context by which you're supposed to review the film, if that makes sense. This is the Rare Beauty blush in Joy, and the funny thing about this blush is that I've taken it everywhere with me, on all of my work trips, because I really love the packaging, but somehow I feel like the pressure from the plane just kind of fucked it up because it's not leak proof anymore. It's always so messy. So I'm always super careful about what I put it near because it will become a mess. The next thing that I think they could have done with Persuasion is to think more about the integrity of each of the characters. Not the surface level vibes, but what each of the characters really kind of stand for or what their defining traits are. And I feel like once they are able to think about that, they would have been able to make better choices. The show that I feel like everyone keeps on bringing up as like a buzzword, which is Fleabag. Love that show, by the way. And I just want to say that the breaking the fourth wall in Fleabag is different from the breaking the fourth wall here in Persuasion because it serves a different purpose. In Persuasion, it was just kind of arbitrary. It was thrown in there to make things more quirky and more modern and for people to be like, wow, this is revolutionary, really. And I think also to save the filmmakers the actual effort of fleshing out Anne Elliott's character through scenes, through showing us what her life is like, and instead just being like, yeah, okay, she's gonna give us some exposition and tell us about everything that's wrong with everyone else. Whereas in Fleabag, breaking the fourth wall sort of serves the purpose of letting us know how lonely Fleabag is. And the trope also adjusts when she finds someone who she wants to let in.
I'd like to be your friend too. We'll last a week.
What was that?
What?
Where did you just go?
What?
And also gives us an entry point into her internal world and in her internal dialogue. And it also shows us, especially in season 1, if you know, you know, what she's grappling with. And it also shows us the things that she's not able to look at yet, the things that she's not able to deal with and to face. And I just feel like that's something very important that they really missed, where you don't just sort of put something like that in there and then forget about it. And I feel like that was probably the biggest disservice to this, not because I don't like that method of storytelling, but because I don't think that they thought about it with Anne Elliot in mind. I've also been thinking about a lot of the video essays that I've watched on this, and I think one of the points that people made is it's like they wanted Anne Elliot to become more edgy because they didn't know how to have a protagonist who was interesting and also introverted and kind of reserved and quiet. Another example of really good storytelling where the main character is kind of very introverted and reserved is the TV show on Hulu called Normal People, which is an adaptation of Normal People, the novel by Sally Rooney, which I love. And yeah, the way that Marianne, especially when she was in high school, was portrayed there was super, super good.
Hey. Not heading home, no?
I did actually get a detention.
Sorry.
Technically, I requested it.
And even if she was introverted and reserved, you wanted to empathize with her. And she's actually kind of bitchy there, but you still are interested in her. You're intrigued. And that's because we know what she's going through. We see her home life. We see how lonely she is in school. This is the Eliana Minerals foundation in hazelnut. And lately I've been using it as like a powder topper when I'm just using a skin tint or a tinted moisturizer because it does have very good coverage. Anyway, as I was saying, in Persuasion, what they did is that they just decided on a trope for Anne and they were just like, okay, she's like Regency era spinster with progressive feminist views and just left it at that. It's a shame, really. We didn't see a lot of her life and we didn't see a lot of what she was going through. I feel like they also really missed out on all of the pining that could have been done and how that could have been showed through key moments or snippets of conversation that they have. And an example I want to look at here is In the Mood for Love by Wong Kar-wai, which is a completely different treatment, I'm aware, but in that movie, the most physical contact that those two characters have is when she leans against his shoulder in a taxi cab. And yet you're rooting for them and you know that it's an impossible love. You know that it's never gonna happen, it can't. But you still root for them. And even if all of the conversations that they have are kind of a small talk, you still have an idea of what the underlying perpetual estrangement is. And I feel like if they had paid attention to that nuance or even bothered to think about that, then we would have gotten a much better movie. Now I'm going to do my eyes, and this is the REM Beauty Liquid Eyeshadow in Comet. I love this. I have like 4 of these now, but I think this is by far my favorite because it's just so versatile and it goes with everything. Plus it lasts all day, but it's not a bitch to remove, so yeah. See, it just instantly lights up your eyes. Baby, you light up. Let's add a little bit of definition. I'm using, I think this is an Ann Klutz brush, and this is the Kathleen Light Zodiac palette. I've had this for a long time, so it's a little bit dirty. This is the Porous, by the way, which I think is like the most subtle crease slash transition color. I love it. Not bad. Not bad at all. And now we are going to do some eyeliner. Just very subtle eyeliner today because, yun na nga, kakain lang ako na adobo sa baba. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright. And the third way that I think they could have really tied this whole thing together and done better with this adaptation is to make clear decisions. I always think of this tattoo that Matty Healy from the 1975 has, and it says, "Weak messages create bad situations." And I think that's definitely the case here, where they weren't sure where they wanted to go with it. On the one hand, they were kind of pressured into, feeling ko lang, close kayo. I think they were kind of pressured into making this adaptation that was quirky and modern and which would be a hit, and also remaining faithful to the book. So I feel like they could have gone in either direction instead of trying to like mash the two together. And a lot of people bring up the 2020 Emma with Anya Taylor-Joy, but the thing is, I think that was a straight-faced adaptation, you know? It had kind of quirky things, and I feel like that was more really to do with like the cinematography and like the pace of the dialogue rather than changing the nature of the dialogue, if that makes sense. And I think they made a pretty clear choice with that one, that it's going to be a straight-faced adaptation, but we are just going to adapt it to this aesthetic that is very kind of Wes Anderson-esque. Yeah, and not like give it a facelift. Or they could have gone the way of Clueless, where that was completely modern, but it definitely did the work in fleshing out Cher and fleshing out her life. And I feel like that's really what was lacking, like the effort and the intentionality of who is Anne Elliot, what's happening to her, and why should we care about her. I think Emma is also like just very rom-com friendly, if that makes sense, just because of the premise and Emma's personality and everything. So yeah, I just feel like if they had done those 3 things, if they had paid more attention to the organic unity, if they'd taken into consideration the integrity of the characters, and also if they had just made clearer decisions, then we would have ended up with a movie that we really enjoyed, regardless of what kind of direction they decided to take it in. I'm using the Strokes Beauty brow liner on my brows. This is perfect for girlies like me who already have thick brows and they just need a little something in the way of shape. How did you guys find the movie? And do you agree? Or do you disagree with these 3 things? Alright, final step, lip liner and some lipstick. This is sis, there's nothing left. This is my favorite lip liner, obvious ba? This is a MAC lip liner in Spice and I love it. It's the perfect color. It lasts you super long too. I bought this in 2020. Yeah, one will last you like a year and a half, 2 years. Also, let me know what your favorite Jane Austen is. I've been thinking a lot about my best friend Mars, who passed away last March, and her favorite Jane Austen was Sense and Sensibility. And yeah, just like this whole persuasion thing coming out, I really do miss her. This lipstick, by the way, is Paradiso by Tom Ford. These Tom Ford lipsticks are just so creamy and wonderful. I bought this from the airport in Cebu, the Mactan International Airport, and they have like the best deals there. Tom Ford, MAC, I think Elizabeth Arden, they're always like 50 off, so I think that was a good score. And that is the adobo. That is the makeup look for a girly na kain ng adobo tonight. So yeah, that's it for this video, you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!